I never needed the spotlight. That was never my thing. While other guys were out there chasing Instagram followers and sponsorship deals, I was in the film room at 2 in the morning, rewinding the same possession 12 times until I understood why it worked. I wasn't the fastest, I wasn't the strongest, but I knew basketball like some people know breathing. My name is Reid, and for 6 years, I was the guy nobody noticed until something went wrong. Then suddenly, everyone was looking for me. It started when I was a kid in Detroit. My father used to take me to Pistons games, back when the Palace was still standing. We'd sit in the nosebleeds, so high up you could barely see the jersey numbers, but my dad would lean over and whisper every play before it happened. Pick and roll left, backdoor cut, weak side rotation. He was a high school coach who never made it past that level, but he saw the game like a chess match. He taught me that basketball wasn't about being the best player. It was about understanding the system better than anyone else. I carried that with me through high school, through college at Michigan State, and into the league when the Philadelphia 76ers took me in the second round. I wasn't a lottery pick. I wasn't even expected to make the roster, but I did because I made myself essential in ways that didn't show up on a stat sheet. Coach Williams, the man who drafted me, understood what I brought. He was old school, 63 years old with a voice like gravel and a system so complex that rookies usually spent their entire first season just trying to figure out where to stand. But I got it immediately. Not just the plays, but the philosophy behind them, the timing, the spacing, the reads that changed based on how the defense shifted. Williams used to pull me aside after practice. We'd stand at half court while the arena emptied out, and he'd quiz me. Marcus, we're running fist 53. Defense switches the screen. What's your read? Roller slips to the dunker spot. Point guard rejects the screen and attacks the gap. Weak side corner lifts to the wing for the kickout. He'd nod, that slight smile on his weathered face. And if they don't switch? Traditional coverage. Roller seals his man. Point guard uses the screen, comes off looking for the pocket pass or the pull-up. What if they trap? Short roll from the screener. He becomes the distributor. Weak side cuts to the basket. Strong side corner stays put for the skip pass. Every time, he'd just nod and walk away. No praise, no criticism. Just that nod that told me I'd gotten it right. I became his extension on the floor. When plays broke down, I knew every option, every counter, every adjustment. The stars got the buckets, but I made sure they were in the right place to get them. I averaged 6 points and 4 assists a game. Nothing special. But our starting point guard, Darius Cole, averaged 23 points and 9 assists. And half of those came because I was whispering in his ear during timeouts, reminding him what was open, what the defense was taking away, what counter we hadn't run yet. Our center, Big Mike Johnson, used to joke that I was like having a coach on the floor. Except I wasn't joking around. I was dead serious about the game, maybe too serious. My girlfriend, Vanessa, used to complain that I brought the playbook home, that I'd be watching film on my laptop during dinner, that I cared more about basketball than I cared about us. Maybe she was right. Maybe I did. But basketball was the only thing I knew how to be great at. And being great at it meant being obsessive about the details nobody else wanted to study. Everything changed last summer. Coach Williams retired. 30 years in the league, 3 championships, and he decided he'd had enough. The front office threw him a retirement party at the practice facility. Big ceremony. All the former players came back. They showed highlight reels and gave speeches about his legacy. I sat in the back row, watching, feeling this weight in my chest that I couldn't quite name. After the ceremony, I found him alone in his office, packing up the last of his things. Photos of his family, his championship rings in a velvet box, a worn playbook from his first season as a head coach in 1994. "Coach," I said from the doorway. He looked up, and for the first time since I'd known him, he looked old, tired, like the game had finally taken everything it could from him. "Marcus, come in, son." I sat down across from his desk, the same desk where he'd drawn up plays on napkins during lunch meetings, where he'd challenged me to watch film until I could call out every defensive coverage in the league. "I wanted to say thank you," I started, "for everything, for believing in me when nobody else did." He shook his head. "You earned every minute you got. You know that, right? You made yourself invaluable. That's rare in this league. Most guys think talent is enough. You understood that knowledge is power. What am I supposed to do now? The question came out more vulnerable than I'd intended. New coach is going to come in with a new system. I don't know if... Marcus! He cut me off, his voice firm. Listen to me. You're one of the smartest players I've ever coached. Whatever system they bring in, you'll learn it. That's what you do. That's your gift. I wanted to believe him, but there was something in his eyes that told me he was worried too. He knew what was coming, even if he wouldn't say it. The new coach was announced 2 weeks later. Derek Hastings, 41 years old, former player who'd had a decent career as a shooting guard, made an all-star team once, retired 5 years ago and immediately got into coaching. He'd spent the last 3 seasons as an assistant in Golden State, where they played a completely different style, fast, chaotic, positionless basketball where everyone could handle the ball and shoot threes. I watched his introductory press conference from my apartment. Vanessa was out with her friends. I was alone with a beer and my laptop, listening to Hastings talk about revolutionizing our offense, about playing faster, about unleashing our talent. We're going to empower our players to make decisions, he said, leaning into the microphone with that confident smile. No more rigid systems. No more overthinking. Basketball is a game of instincts and athleticism. We're going to let our guys play free. My stomach dropped. Everything I'd built my career on was about to become obsolete. Training camp started in September. The first day, Hastings gathered us in the practice facility's main court. He was wearing designer joggers and a team-branded hoodie, looking more like a player than a coach. Young, energetic, the kind of guy who probably got along great with the stars. All right, fellas, he started, clapping his hands together. Fresh start. New season. New identity. I know Coach Williams had you guys running a complex system, and hey, it worked. 3 playoff appearances in 6 years. Respect to that, but we're going to simplify things. Make it easier for you to just play, react, trust your instincts. Darius glanced at me from across the court. I could see the question in his eyes. I shrugged. What was I supposed to say? Hastings walked us through his offense. It was basically a freelance system. A few basic sets to get into, then a lot of reading and reacting. Pick and rolls, drive and kicks, spot-ups. Everything dependent on individual skill and decision-making rather than structured plays. For the stars, it was liberating. Darius loved it. He could dominate the ball, make plays, hunt his shots. Big Mike didn't have to remember complex post-entry sequences. Our shooting guard, Kevin Matthews, got more catch-and-shoot opportunities. But for me, I was lost. My entire value was built on knowing the system better than everyone else, on being the guy who could call out adjustments, who could remind guys of their assignments, who could execute the plays perfectly even when everyone else was confused. Now, there were no plays to remember. Just basketball. Raw, instinctive basketball. And at that level, instincts and athleticism were what separated the stars from the role players. I tried to adapt. I really did. I stayed late after practice, working on my shooting, on my ball handling, trying to make myself more versatile. But I was 28 years old. I wasn't going to suddenly become a different player. Hastings barely looked at me during those first few weeks. When he did, it was usually to correct something I'd done wrong. Took too long to make a decision. Didn't attack the gap aggressively enough. Passed up a shot I should have taken. "Marcus, you gotta be more aggressive, man," he said one day after practice. "You're thinking too much. Just play. Just play." Like it was that simple. Like I could turn off the part of my brain that had made me successful for 6 years and just become a different player overnight. The preseason games were rough. I barely played. When I did get minutes, I looked hesitant, out of rhythm. The game was moving faster than I could process it without a structured system to fall back on. After our third preseason game, a loss to the Celtics where I played 4 minutes and missed both shots I took, I found Darius in the locker room. He was icing his knees, headphones around his neck. "D," I said, sitting down next to him. "Can I ask you something?" "Yeah, what's up? How do you feel about the new system?" He thought about it for a second, then shrugged. "Honestly, it's cool. I get more freedom to create. But I don't know, man. Sometimes I feel like we're just out there playing pickup, like there's no structure. I used to know exactly what we were trying to accomplish every possession. Now it's just see ball, get ball, score ball. You think Hastings knows what he's doing?" Darius looked at me, and I saw the loyalty conflict in his eyes. He didn't want to throw the new coach under the bus, but he also couldn't lie to me. "I think he's trying to make us into something we're not," he said finally. "We're not Golden State. We don't have 4 all-stars who can all handle and shoot. We're a team that wins with execution and discipline. At least we used to be." 2 days later, Hastings called me into his office. I knew what was coming before I sat down. You develop an instinct for these things. The way he couldn't quite look me in the eye, the way his assistant coach wasn't in the room, the way he had papers already laid out on his desk. "Marcus, listen," he started. "You're a good player, smart player, but I'm going to be straight with you. I don't think you're a fit for what we're trying to do here." The words hit me like a body check. Even though I'd expected them, hearing them out loud made them real. "We're going in a different direction," he continued. "Faster pace, more versatile pieces. I need guys who can create their own shots, who can switch on defense, who can play multiple positions. That's just not your game, man. No disrespect." "Coach, I can adapt," I said, and I hated how desperate I sounded. "Give me time. I've been in this system for 6 years. I don't have time, Marcus. This is the NBA. Every game matters. I need to put the best team on the floor right now. And honestly, man, you're not in my top 9. He slid the papers across the desk. Release forms. My contract was non-guaranteed, which meant they could cut me without any financial penalty. "You'll land somewhere," he said, like that was supposed to make me feel better. "You've got experience. Some team will want a veteran presence. But here, with what we're doing, I just don't see the fit." I stared at those papers. 6 years of my life. 6 years of film study and late nights and sacrificing everything to make myself essential. And just like that, it was over. "Can I ask you something?" I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "Sure. Did you watch any film on me? On what I actually do for this team?" He hesitated. "I watched your highlights. I know your stats. Like I said, you're solid. Just not what we need right now." Highlights. Stats. He had no idea. He didn't know about the plays I'd memorized, the adjustments I'd called out, the way I'd made everyone around me better just by understanding the game at a level he couldn't see. I signed the papers. What else was I going to do? Fight it? Beg? I walked out of that office, through the practice facility, past the court where I'd spent 6 years perfecting my craft. Nobody was around. It was late afternoon. The cleaning crew was mopping the floors. The echo of my footsteps sounded like a countdown. In the parking lot, I sat in my car for 20 minutes before I could bring myself to start the engine. I called my agent, Marcus, left a voicemail, called my dad. He didn't answer. Finally, I called Vanessa. "Hey," she answered. I could hear music in the background. She was at some rooftop bar in Center City with her friends. "They cut me," I said. Silence. Then, "What?" "New coach cut me. I'm done with the Sixers." More silence. I could hear her moving, probably stepping away from her friends to hear me better. "Oh my God. Marcus, I'm so sorry. Are you okay?" "No," I said honestly. "I'm not okay. Where are you?" "Parking lot at the facility. Come meet me. We're at assembly. Come have a drink. Be with people." "I don't want to be with people, V. I just want to go home." She sighed. "Fine. I'll come home then. Give me an hour." "No, stay. Have fun. I'll be fine." "Marcus, I'll be fine." I hung up before she could argue. Then I drove home to our apartment in Rittenhouse Square, poured myself 3 fingers of whiskey, and sat on the couch in the dark, trying to figure out who I was if I wasn't the guy who knew every play. The next morning, the news broke. Local Philly sports reporters picked it up first. 76ers release guard Marcus Reid in surprise move. Social media had opinions, of course. Some people said I was washed. Others said it was a bad decision. Most people didn't care enough to comment at all. My phone buzzed with texts, teammates reaching out. Darius sent me a long message saying he couldn't believe it, that the locker room wouldn't be the same, that I'd land somewhere better. Big Mike called me. I didn't answer. My agent finally got back to me that afternoon. "Marcus, I'm already making calls. There's interest. Maybe not starting roles, but teams need veteran depth. We'll find something." "Sure," I said. I didn't believe him. 3 weeks passed. No offers. A few workouts. One team in Sacramento brought me in, watched me shoot around for an hour, thanked me for my time, and never called back. I started sleeping until noon. Stopped going to the gym. Vanessa tried to be supportive, but I could feel her frustration building. "You can't just give up," she said one night over dinner. Thai takeout that neither of us was really eating. "I'm not giving up. I'm waiting for the right opportunity. Marcus, you're depressed. You barely leave the apartment. You need to do something, anything. Go work out, call your dad, see your friends. Don't just sit here feeling sorry for yourself." "You don't get it," I snapped. "Basketball was my identity. It was the only thing I was good at. And they threw me away like I was nothing." "You're not nothing. You're just not playing basketball right now. There's a difference." But she was wrong. In the NBA, if you're not playing, you are nothing. That's the reality nobody tells you when you're a kid with dreams. Then, in late November, I got a call from Darius. "Yo, Mark, you watching the game tonight?" "Nah, man, I can't really watch right now." "You should. Trust me, just tune in." He hung up before I could ask why. I almost didn't do it. Almost just stayed on the couch, scrolling through my phone, avoiding anything basketball-related. But curiosity got the better of me. I turned on the game. Sixers versus the Bucks. Third game of the season. We were down 15 at halftime. I could see it immediately. The offense looked completely disorganized. Guys were running into each other. Darius was dribbling around aimlessly, trying to create something out of nothing. Big Mike kept flashing to the wrong spots, confused about where he was supposed to be. Coach Hastings was screaming from the sideline, but nobody seemed to know what he wanted. It wasn't that they lacked talent. They had the same roster that had made the playoffs 3 straight years, but they looked lost, like they'd forgotten how to play together. By the fourth quarter, we were down 25. The announcers were talking about how the Sixers had lost their identity, how the new system wasn't clicking, how maybe Hastings needed more time to implement his vision. I turned off the TV and sat in the dark. They didn't need more time. They needed a system. They needed structure. They needed someone who knew every play, every counter, every adjustment. They needed me, but I was gone. Replaceable, they'd said. Just another role player who could be swapped out for a younger, more athletic piece. Except now they were drowning, and I was the only one who knew where the lifeboats were. My phone buzzed. Text from Darius. "See what I mean? This is a mess. We miss you, bro." I typed back, "You'll figure it out." But I didn't believe that either, because some things can't be figured out. Some things have to be learned, practiced, memorized until they become second nature. And nobody had put in the work the way I had. I went to bed that night thinking about every play Coach Williams had ever taught me. Fist 53, horns double, loop 41, every counter, every read, every detail. They were all still in my head, perfect and complete. And for the first time since I'd been cut, I started to wonder if maybe, just maybe, being replaceable had been the biggest mistake they'd ever made. December came with freezing rain and a losing streak that felt biblical. The Sixers dropped 8 straight games. National media started calling it a disaster. ESPN ran segments asking if Derek Hastings was in over his head. Twitter turned brutal. Fans were calling for heads to roll. The front office released statements about staying the course and believing in the process. But I could see the truth from my couch. Every game I watched, I saw the same problems. No structure, no discipline. No one on the floor who understood how to organize chaos into basketball. Darius was averaging 28 points a game, but on terrible efficiency. He was forcing everything, trying to carry the team by himself. Big Mike's numbers had dropped off completely because nobody knew how to get him the ball in his spots. Kevin Matthews, our best shooter, was getting wide-open looks that he wasn't ready for because the ball movement was unpredictable. He'd gone from shooting 40% from 3 to 31%. The defense was even worse. Coach Williams had built our defense around communication and positioning. Everyone knew their rotations, their coverages, their responsibilities. Now it was just 5 guys scrambling, reacting, hoping their individual talent would be enough. It wasn't. I stopped watching after that 8th loss. Couldn't take it anymore. It felt like watching someone butcher a song I'd spent years learning to play perfectly. Every mistake was obvious to me. Every missed rotation, every blown coverage, every offensive possession that ended in a contested mid-range jumper because nobody knew what else to do. Vanessa noticed I'd stopped watching. She was relieved, actually. Thought maybe I was finally moving on, letting go of basketball, becoming ready to figure out what came next for us. She was wrong. I wasn't letting go. I was just tired of watching something I could fix, but wasn't allowed to touch. My agent called me on a Tuesday afternoon. I was at the gym finally, working out for the first time in 2 weeks. Nothing serious, just some conditioning, some shooting. Trying to stay ready even though I had no idea what I was staying ready for. "Marcus, I got something." "Yeah?" "Miami's interested. They've got some injuries, need backcourt depth. It's a 10-day contract, non-guaranteed, but it's something. Chance to show what you can do." Miami. Eric Spoelstra, one of the best coaches in the league, a system that actually made sense. "When do they want me?" "Tomorrow. You'd fly out tonight, practice tomorrow morning. Could see minutes as soon as Thursday." I should have been excited, should have been grateful. This was exactly what I'd been waiting for. A second chance. An opportunity. But all I felt was empty. "Marcus, you there?" Yeah, I'm here. Tell them yes. I'll do it." "All right. I'll send you the details. This is good, man. This is really good." I hung up and sat down on the baseline, ball in my lap, staring at the basket. Miami was a good situation. Professional organization, championship culture. But it felt wrong. It felt like running away. That night, I packed a bag. Vanessa helped, folding my clothes the way she always did, organized and efficient. She was trying to be supportive, but I could feel the distance between us growing. It had been growing for months, really. Maybe years. Basketball had always come first for me, and she'd always been patient about it, understanding. But patience has limits. "You'll do great," she said, zipping up my suitcase. "Miami's lucky to have you. It's just a 10-day. So you'll show them they need to sign you for the rest of the season. That's what you do, Marcus. You make yourself essential." I looked at her, really looked at her. She was beautiful. Still the same woman I'd met at a charity event 4 years ago, when I was young and confident and my future felt secure. She'd believed in me then, loved the dedication I brought to my craft. Now that same dedication felt like neglect. "What if I can't?" I said quietly. "Can't what?" "Make myself essential. What if I'm just not good enough anymore? What if Hastings was right and I really am replaceable?" She sat down next to me on the bed. "Marcus, don't do this. Don't let that man make you doubt yourself. You're one of the smartest basketball players I've ever seen. You just need the right situation. But what if the league has moved past guys like me? What if there's no place anymore for someone who just knows the game but can't create his own shot or guard 4 positions?" She didn't have an answer for that. Because deep down, we both knew it might be true. I flew to Miami that night on a red-eye. Couldn't sleep. Just stared out the window at the darkness below, thinking about everything I was leaving behind. Philadelphia. 6 years of my life. The team that had drafted me. The city I'd learned to love. The system I'd mastered. Coach Williams used to say that basketball was about controlling what you could control. Couldn't control if shots went in. Couldn't control if refs made bad calls. Couldn't control injuries or trades or front office decisions. But you could control your effort, your preparation, your understanding of the game. So that's what I tried to focus on, the things I could control. I pulled out my iPad and started studying Miami's playbook, which my agent had sent over. Different terminology than Philly, but similar concepts. A lot of pick-and-roll variations, some flex actions, some motion principles. Structured enough that I could learn it. Simple enough that I could execute it. By the time we landed, I had 23 of their base plays memorized. Miami's practice facility was in a completely different world than Philadelphia. Everything gleamed. State-of-the-art equipment, perfect weather, palm trees visible through the windows. The guys were loose, confident, professional. This was a team that knew how to win. Spoelstra met me in his office before practice. He was exactly what I'd expected. Focused, intelligent, direct. "Marcus, thanks for coming on short notice. I've watched film on you. I know what you did in Philly under Williams. Smart player. Knows how to execute. That's what we need right now with Jimmy and Tyler out. I appreciate the opportunity, Coach. Let me be straight with you. This is an audition. We need depth. We need someone who can come in and run the show for 10 minutes a game without us falling apart. Can you do that?" "Yes, sir." "Good. Let's get to work." Practice was intense. Miami didn't mess around. Every drill was competitive. Every possession mattered. The attention to detail was exactly what I'd been craving. This was a real system, real structure, real coaching. I picked it up fast, faster than the other guys expected. By the end of practice, I was calling out coverages on defense, reminding guys of their spots on offense, being myself again. One of their veterans, a shooting guard named Marcus Garrett, pulled me aside afterward. "Yo, you got that photographic memory or something? How'd you learn all that so fast?" "Just how I'm wired, I guess. I see it once, I remember it." "Damn, we could use more of that around here." I played 12 minutes in my first game, against Orlando. We won by 15. I didn't score, but I had 4 assists, 2 steals, and 0 turnovers. Exactly what they'd asked me to do. Be steady. Run the show. Don't mess up. After the game, Spoelstra gave me a nod. That same nod Coach Williams used to give me. The one that said, "You did your job." For the first time in 2 months, I felt like a basketball player again. But that night, alone in my hotel room, I made the mistake of checking Twitter. The Sixers had lost again, their 9th straight. They were now 4-18 on the season. Darius had scored 34 points on 30 shots. Big Mike had picked up 3 offensive fouls trying to post up without proper spacing. Kevin had gone 1 for 7 from 3. And the national media was destroying them, calling them the biggest disappointment in the league, questioning whether they should blow it up. Trade Darius, fire Hastings, start over. I turned off my phone and stared at the ceiling. Part of me felt vindicated. They'd cut me, and now they were drowning, proof that I'd mattered more than Hastings had realized. But another part of me just felt sad. Those were my brothers, my teammates for 6 years. And they were suffering. My 10-day contract turned into a second 10-day. Then Miami signed me for the rest of the season. Veteran minimum, but guaranteed money. Security. I should have been thrilled. Vanessa flew down to visit me in January. We got dinner at this upscale seafood place in South Beach. She looked amazing, sun-kissed, relaxed. Miami seemed to agree with her. "So," she said over wine, "tell me the truth. Are you happy here?" I thought about the question. Was I happy? I was playing. I was contributing to a winning team. I had a contract. By any objective measure, this was success. "I don't know," I admitted. "It's good basketball, great organization, but it doesn't feel like home. Because home is Philly? Because home is where I matter, where I'm essential, not just useful." She put down her wine glass. "Marcus, I need to tell you something." My stomach dropped. I knew that tone. That was the tone that came before bad news. "I got a job offer in New York, marketing director for a major firm. It's everything I've been working toward, 6-figure salary, real career advancement. But it would mean leaving Philly." "When?" "They want me to start in March." 2 months. We had 2 months to figure out what we were doing. Or more accurately, 2 months before she made the decision for both of us. "What do you want me to say?" I asked. "I want you to tell me we're going to be okay, that we can make this work, that you're going to fight for us the way you fight for basketball." But I couldn't say that, because we both knew it wasn't true. Basketball had always come first. It always would, and she deserved someone who could put her first. I started, but she held up her hand. Don't say it yet. Let's just enjoy tonight. We can deal with the rest later." So we did. We enjoyed the meal, walked along the beach, pretended for a few hours that we weren't watching our relationship end in slow motion. She flew back to Philly the next morning. We hugged at the airport, said all the right things, but we both knew the truth. I threw myself into basketball. Practices, film sessions, games, made myself as useful as possible to Miami. They appreciated me. Spoelstra would pull me aside to ask my opinion on coverages, on plays, on what I was seeing from the bench. I was valued, but I wasn't essential. They had Jimmy Butler. They had Bam Adebayo. They had Tyler Herro. They were fine without me. I was depth, insurance, a solid veteran who could give you clean minutes when needed. In Philly, I'd been the system. Here, I was just another piece. February came. The Sixers were now 12-38, dead last in the East. Hastings was still the coach somehow. The front office was standing by him, insisting that the process takes time, that they believed in his vision. But I started hearing things through the grapevine. Guys were frustrated. The locker room was divided. Some players wanted Hastings gone. Others just wanted to tank and rebuild. Nobody believed in what they were doing anymore. Then, on a Thursday night, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. Marcus Reid? Yeah? This is David Chen. I'm the VP of Basketball Operations for the Sixers. Do you have a minute to talk? My heart started racing. Sure. I'm going to be direct with you. We made a mistake. Letting you go was a mistake. We realize that now. This team has fallen apart, and part of the reason is that we lost the glue that held everything together. That was you. I didn't say anything. Couldn't trust my voice. We want to bring you back. Trade for you from Miami. You'd come in as a player coach. Help us implement a real system again. Get these guys organized. We're prepared to give you a 3-year deal. Real money. Real security. What do you think? What did I think? I thought it was insane. I thought it was validation. I thought it was terrifying. I thought it was everything I'd wanted to hear 2 months ago. What about Hastings? I asked. Silence on the other end. Then, we're making changes. Derek is going to step down. We're bringing in an interim coach, but we want you to be part of the solution. You know this team. You know our system. Or at least, you know the system that actually worked. I need time to think about it. Of course. But Marcus, we need an answer by Monday. This team is drowning. Every day we wait is another day we fall further behind. He hung up. I sat in my apartment, phone still in my hand, trying to process what had just happened. They wanted me back. They were admitting they'd been wrong. They were offering me security, respect, a role that actually mattered. But it also meant going back to the place that had thrown me away. Going back to the teammates who'd watched me get cut and hadn't fought hard enough to keep me. Going back to prove that I'd been essential all along, while knowing that they'd only realized it because they'd failed without me. I called my agent. Marcus, this is huge, he said. This is career-changing. Player-coach roles are rare, and a 3-year deal. That's security you can build a life on. But what if I go back and it still doesn't work? What if the damage is already done? Then you gave it your best shot. But Marcus, this is your team, your city, your system. If anyone can fix this, it's you. I called my dad next. He answered on the first ring. Marcus, good to hear from you, son. Dad, I need your advice. I told him everything. The offer, the doubts, the fear. He listened without interrupting, the way he always did. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. You remember what I told you when you were 14? He finally said. After that game where you scored 2 points but had 12 assists and we won the championship? You said basketball isn't about being the hero, it's about making everyone else better. That's right. And that's what you do, son. That's your gift. So here's my question. Where can you use that gift to make the most difference? Here in Miami, where they're already winning without you. Or back in Philly, where they're falling apart because they forgot how important you were. He always knew the right questions to ask. That weekend, I flew back to Philadelphia. Told Miami I needed a few days for personal reasons. Walked around the city I'd called home for 6 years. Went to the practice facility, stood outside in the parking lot where I'd sat in my car the day they cut me. Everything looked the same, but I was different, harder, more certain of my value. Sunday night, I met with David Chen at a quiet restaurant in Old City. He brought the GM, Steve Morrison, a guy I'd always respected. They laid out their vision. Bring me back as a player coach. Give me real input on the offensive system. Let me work with the young guys. Help rebuild the culture. Why me? I asked. Why not just hire a real coach? Steve leaned forward. Because you know these players. You know what they're capable of when they're in the right system. And more importantly, you've lived what they're going through. You've been cut, overlooked, underestimated. You've had to prove yourself. That gives you credibility that some famous name coach wouldn't have. And Hastings? What happens to him? David didn't flinch. Derek is going to resign. It'll be announced as mutual. He'll get a settlement. But between us, we're admitting we made a mistake. We should have kept Williams' system. Should have kept you. Should have built on what was working instead of burning it down to chase the next trend. I looked at both of them. Powerful men who were admitting failure, asking me to save them from their own mistake. I need to talk to Darius first, I said. If I come back, I need to know the locker room wants me there. I won't walk into a situation where guys resent me. Fair enough. Want me to set up a call? No. I'll reach out myself. If he wants to meet, we'll meet. But I need to hear it from him directly." They agreed. We shook hands. I left that restaurant feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Purpose. I texted Darius that night. "In Philly for a few days. Coffee tomorrow?" He responded immediately. "Hell yeah. Name the place." We met at this small cafe in Northern Liberties, away from the media, away from fans. Just two guys who'd been brothers before all this mess started. He looked tired. Older than his 29 years. The losing had aged him. "You look good," he said as I sat down. "Miami treating you right?" "It's fine, but it's not home. I heard they might bring you back. Front office has been asking me about you, about the old system, about whether the team would respond to you." "Would they?" He leaned back, studying me. "Honestly, yeah. Everyone knows we screwed up. Everyone knows this season is a disaster. And everyone knows the biggest reason why. We lost the one guy who understood what we were trying to do. That's not on you guys. That's on Hastings, on the front office. Maybe, but we should have fought harder. When they cut you, we should have made noise, should have told them it was a mistake. We didn't. We just accepted it and tried to make it work. And look where that got us. You think I can fix it? If I come back? I think we need structure. We need discipline. We need someone who can organize this talent into something that makes sense. Whether that's you or someone else, I don't know. But yeah, I think you're the guy who gives us the best chance." That was all I needed to hear. Monday morning, I called David Chen. "I'm in. Let's do this." 2 days later, the trade was announced. Miami sent me back to Philadelphia for a second-round pick and cash considerations. The Sixers announced Derek Hastings' resignation. They promoted his assistant, Tom Daniels, to interim head coach. And they announced that I would be returning as a player development coach with an active roster spot. The press conference was surreal, sitting at a table with Tom, with David, with Steve, fielding questions from reporters who'd written me off 2 months ago. "Marcus, what made you want to come back to a team that struggled so much this season?" "Because I know what we're capable of. I know these players, and I know that we're better than our record shows. Sometimes teams lose their identity. My job is to help us find it again. Do you feel vindicated after being cut and then asked to return? This isn't about vindication. This isn't about proving anyone wrong. This is about winning basketball games. That's all that matters." But that was a lie. It was absolutely about vindication, about proving that I'd been essential all along, about showing Derek Hastings and everyone else who doubted me that some players can't be replaced. My first practice back was scheduled for Thursday. I had 2 days to prepare. 2 days to figure out how to walk back into a locker room that had watched me get cut and do absolutely nothing to stop it. 2 days to become the thing I'd always been, but nobody had noticed. Essential. I walked into the practice facility at 6 in the morning, 2 hours before anyone else was supposed to arrive. The building was silent, except for the hum of the ventilation system and the echo of my footsteps on the hardwood. I stood at center court, the same spot where Coach Williams used to quiz me after practice, and just breathed it in. This was my court, my home, and I was going to take it back. I spent those 2 hours in the film room, pulling up every game from this disastrous season, watching the chaos unfold possession by possession, the missed rotations, the confused spacing, the lack of any coherent offensive structure. It was worse than I'd thought. Hastings hadn't just removed the system. He'd stripped away the foundation of everything we'd built, but foundations could be rebuilt. That's what I kept telling myself. Tom Daniels arrived at 7:30. He was a good man, 52 years old, been an assistant in the league for 20 years. He'd been Williams' right hand before Hastings came in and kept him on staff. I'd always respected Tom. He knew the game. He just didn't have the personality to be a head coach, which is why he'd been an assistant his whole career. "Marcus," he said, finding me in the film room. "Welcome back, brother." We hugged. It felt genuine. Tom had been upset when they'd cut me. I knew that. He just hadn't had the power to stop it. "Thanks for giving me this chance, coach." "Don't thank me. Thank yourself. You earned your way back. Now let's figure out how to fix this mess." We spent the next hour game planning. Tom was honest with me. Brutally honest. "These guys have lost confidence," he said. "They don't trust each other anymore. Everyone's playing selfishly because nobody knows what anyone else is doing. It's street ball. Talented street ball, but street ball nonetheless. What do you need from me? Be the voice in their ear. On the court, in timeouts, in practice. You know the system better than anyone. You've lived it. They'll listen to you because you're one of them, a player, not just another coach telling them what to do. What about Hastings' system? Do we keep any of it? Tom laughed bitterly. What system? Hastings had concepts, not a system, and none of them fit our personnel. No, we're going back to basics, back to Williams' principles. Structure, discipline, execution. That's how we win. At 8 o'clock, the players started arriving. I watched them file into the locker room from the hallway. Some of them saw me and their faces lit up. Darius dapped me up immediately. Big Mike gave me a bear hug that nearly broke my ribs. Kevin just nodded, but I could see relief in his eyes. But not everyone was happy to see me. Our young point guard, Jamal Foster, who'd been getting more minutes in the new system, looked less enthusiastic. So did a few of the other young guys who'd benefited from the chaos. I got it. My return meant structure was coming back. And structure meant roles. Defined roles. Not everyone was going to like where they fit. Tom called everyone into the film room before practice. The team sat in their usual seats. I stood in the back, watching, trying to read the room. The energy was low, defeated. These guys had lost so much that losing felt normal now. All right, fellas, Tom started. As you know, we've made some changes. Coach Hastings has moved on. I'm going to be your head coach for the rest of the season. And we've brought Marcus back in a player coach role. Some guys clapped, some didn't. I kept my face neutral. Let me be clear about something, Tom continued. This season has been unacceptable. We're better than 1238, way better. But we've forgotten who we are. We've lost our identity. So starting today, we're going back to what works. Back to the system that got us to the playoffs 3 straight years. It won't be easy. It's going to require discipline, sacrifice, and trust. But if you commit to it, we will win games. I promise you that. He turned to me. Marcus, you want to say something? I stepped forward. 23 sets of eyes on me. Some hopeful, some skeptical. All of them tired. I'm not here to save you, I said. I can't do that. Only you can save yourselves. But I can give you the blueprint, the system that works, the plays that get us good shots, the coverages that get us stops. I've spent the last 6 years memorizing every detail of how we win, and I'm going to share all of it with you. But it only works if you buy in, if you trust the process, if you're willing to sacrifice your individual stats for team success. Jamal raised his hand. What if we don't fit the system? Fair question. Direct. I appreciated that. Then we'll adapt the system to fit you, I said. This isn't about forcing square pegs into round holes. It's about understanding what you do well and putting you in positions to succeed. But that requires honesty. You have to be honest about your strengths and limitations. And you have to trust that we're going to put you in the best position to help this team win. And if we still lose, that was Kevin, always the realist. Then we lose with an identity. We lose knowing we did it the right way. But I don't think we will lose. Not if we commit to this. Tom put practice footage on the screen. Old footage from 2 years ago when we'd been good. He showed them a simple high pick and roll. Darius using the screen. Big Mike rolling to the rim. The weak side spacing perfectly. Kevin in the corner, ready to shoot. Simple, clean, effective. That's what we're getting back to, Tom said. Watch how everyone knows their job. Watch how the spacing creates options. Watch how Mike gets an easy dunk because everyone did their job. Then he put up footage from last week. Same play call, different execution. Darius used the screen, but Jamal was standing in the driving lane. Mike rolled, but too early, getting there before Darius could deliver the pass. Kevin was in the corner, but a step inside the three-point line. The whole thing collapsed into a contested Darius mid-range jumper. See the difference? Tom asked. Same talent, different execution. That's what discipline gives you. That's what the system gives you. We went out to the court. For the first hour, we didn't scrimmage. We just walked through plays, over and over. I stood on the floor with them, literally walking guys to their spots, showing them the timing, explaining the reads. Jamal, when Darius uses that screen, you slide to the opposite corner. That pulls your defender out of the paint, creates space for Mike to roll. Big Mike, don't roll until Darius gets to the nail. Too early and the pass window closes. Too late and the defense recovers. Kevin, you're our best shooter. You've got to be a threat. That means being ready to shoot even when the ball doesn't come to you. Your defender has to respect you. It was tedious, boring even, but necessary. You can't execute at game speed what you haven't perfected in practice. After 2 hours, Tom called for a scrimmage. First team against second team. I was on the second team, which felt appropriate. I wasn't here to take anyone's minutes. I was here to make everyone better. The first few possessions were rough. Guys were thinking too much, moving too slowly, but gradually, you could see it clicking. Darius called for Fist 53, one of our bread-and-butter plays. Everyone moved to their spots. The timing was still off, but the structure was there. Mike got a layup. Darius ran back down the court and pointed at me. That's what I'm talking about. Organization, structure. We get that back, we win games. By the end of practice, the energy had shifted. Not dramatically, but noticeably. Guys were communicating more, calling out coverages, helping each other with positioning. The foundation was starting to reform. Afterward, I stayed late with Darius and Big Mike working through specific actions, showing Darius how to read different coverages on ball screens, teaching Mike new post-entry angles that would work better with our spacing. Man, I forgot how smart you are, Mike said. Like, I knew you knew the plays, but I didn't realize how much you understood about why they work. That's what I tried to tell Hastings, I said, but he didn't want to hear it. Darius shook his head. That man really thought he could come in and change everything overnight. Like all the work Williams put in didn't matter. Like you didn't matter. It's done now. Water under the bridge. All that matters is fixing this. But it wasn't water under the bridge. Not really. I was still angry, still hurt, still carrying the weight of being discarded like I was nothing. That night, I had dinner with my dad at his house in West Philly. Same house I grew up in. Same kitchen table where we used to draw up plays on napkins when I was a kid. How was practice? He asked over his mom's famous pot roast, my grandmother's recipe that he'd learned after she passed. Good. Guys are receptive. They want structure. They're just going to need time to relearn everything. And you? How are you handling being back? I put down my fork. Honestly, Dad, I don't know. Part of me is grateful for the opportunity. Part of me is still angry that they ever let me go in the first place, like I'm supposed to just forget that they didn't value me until they were desperate? He nodded slowly. Let me tell you something I learned coaching high school for 30 years. Organizations make mistakes. People make mistakes. But the good ones admit it and try to fix it. The Sixers admitted they were wrong. They're trying to fix it. Now, you've got a choice. You can hold on to the anger, let it poison everything, or you can let it go and focus on the work. What if I can't let it go? Then use it. Channel it. Let it fuel you to prove every single day that they should have never cut you in the first place. But don't let it make you bitter. Bitterness destroys people, Marcus. I've seen it happen. He was right. He was always right. But knowing something intellectually and actually doing it are two different things. The next few weeks were a grind. We practiced twice a day sometimes. Film sessions that lasted hours. Individual workouts before and after team practice. I was everywhere. On the court, in the film room, in guys' ears during games. Our first game back with the new system was against Charlotte. We lost by 3, but it was different. The offense had structure. We got good shots. The defense communicated. We just didn't execute well enough yet. The habits weren't ingrained. After the game, Tom and I stayed up until 2 in the morning, reviewing film, making adjustments. We weren't just installing Williams' old system. We were adapting it to the current roster, incorporating some of what these guys had learned to do well over the past few months. You were right, Tom said around midnight, rubbing his tired eyes. It's not about forcing them into something. It's about building something that fits them. Williams taught me that. The system serves the players, not the other way around. We lost 3 of our next 4 games, but they were close, competitive. We were starting to look like a real team again. The media noticed. ESPN ran a segment about the Sixers' resurgence, about how bringing me back had stabilized things. Stephen A. Smith went on one of his rants about how organizations need to value the glue guys, the players who make everyone better without getting the credit. It felt good, vindicating, but we still weren't winning. The breakthrough came in late February against Milwaukee. They were the best team in the East. Everyone expected us to get blown out. Instead, we hung with them for 4 quarters. In the final minute, tied at 93, Tom called timeout. In the huddle, everyone looked panicked. This was a moment we hadn't been in all season. A close game against a great team with a chance to win. "All right," Tom started. "We're running horns double. Darius, you're coming off the double screen at the elbow. Mike and Kevin set the screens. Jamal spaces opposite corner. Marcus." "Wait," Darius said. He looked at me. "Mark, what do you see? How are they guarding this?" The huddle went quiet. Tom looked at me. Everyone looked at me. I closed my eyes, visualizing what Milwaukee had done all game, their coverages, their rotations, their tendencies. "They're going to hedge hard on the second screen," I said. "Their center is dropping too far to stop the roll. That means if Darius rejects the second screen and goes middle, there's going to be a lane to the rim. But their weak side defender has been cheating toward the paint all game. So if the lane closes, Kevin is going to be open in the corner for a split second. That's the shot." Tom nodded. "You heard him? That's the play." We broke the huddle. I watched from the bench as we ran it. Darius came off the first screen. Milwaukee hedged, just like I'd said. He started toward the second screen, then rejected it, cutting hard to the middle. His defender got caught on the screen. Their center stepped up, but too late. Darius had a clear lane. He attacked. Their weak side defender rotated over, leaving Kevin open in the corner. Darius made the pass. Kevin caught and shot in one motion. Swish. We won 96-93. The bench erupted. I found myself jumping up and down like a rookie, caught up in the moment. We'd just beaten the best team in the East because we'd executed, because we'd trusted the system, because we'd believed in the preparation. In the locker room afterward, Darius found me. "That's why you're here, brother. That's why we need you. You see the game different than everyone else." "We all see it. I just remember the details." "No, man. It's more than that. You understand it. You can predict what they're going to do before they do it. That's a gift." Maybe it was. Or maybe it was just 6 years of obsessive film study finally paying off. We won 4 of our next 6 games, then 6 of our next 8. By mid-March, we were 28-42. Still bad, but not historically terrible anymore. We'd climbed out of the basement. We were competing. The locker room felt different too. Guys were laughing again, trusting each other. Young players were asking me to stay after practice and teach them plays. Veterans were coming to me during games asking what I was seeing, what adjustments we should make. I was becoming essential again, but in a different way than before. Not just as a player, but as a teacher, a mentor, a bridge between the coaching staff and the team. Vanessa and I barely talked anymore. She'd taken the New York job, moved in early March. We'd agreed to try long distance, but we both knew it was over. The few times we did talk, the conversations were strained, polite, empty. "I'm happy for you," she said during one call. "You found your purpose again. That's what you needed. What about us? What do we need?" Silence. Then, "I think we need to be honest. You're married to basketball, Marcus. You always have been. And I need someone who's married to me." She was right. I couldn't argue with her, didn't try to. We broke up officially a week later over a phone call that lasted less than 10 minutes. 4 years together ended with, "I wish you the best and take care of yourself." No big fight, no drama, just 2 people acknowledging what had been obvious for a while. I threw myself deeper into basketball. What else was I going to do? It was all I had. All I'd ever had. In early April, we played against Miami. My first game back in Miami as a Sixer. The Heat welcomed me warmly before the game. Spoelstra shook my hand. "Good to see you thriving, Marcus. This is where you belonged all along." We lost that game by 8, but I scored 12 points, my season high. More importantly, we executed. We competed. We showed that we were building something. After the game, sitting on the team bus, Darius slid into the seat next to me. "Yo, I need to tell you something." "What's up?" "I talked to the front office about your contract, about next year." My heart started racing. My current deal was only through this season. After that, I was a free agent again. "What did they say?" "They want to extend you. 3 more years. Guaranteed. But not just as a player. They want you on the coaching staff too. Full-time. Player development coordinator. With the option to transition to full-time coaching when you're ready to hang it up." I stared at him. Are you serious? Dead serious. They see what you've done, how you've changed this team. They want to make sure you're here long term. Build around what you bring. For the second time since I'd been back, I felt tears threatening. But this time they weren't from anger or frustration. They were from relief, from validation, from finally being seen for what I actually was. They're going to make it official after the season, Darius continued. But I wanted you to know, you're not going anywhere, brother. This is your team, your city, your home. We finished the season 35-47. Still missed the playoffs, but we'd won 23 of our last 42 games, a complete turnaround from the disaster we'd been in December. The final game of the season was at home against Boston. We won by 15. The crowd gave us a standing ovation. Gave me a standing ovation when Tom subbed me out in the final minute. I stood at the bench, looking up at the stands, at the fans who'd watched me for 6 years, who'd seen me get cut and welcomed me back, who believed in what we were building. This was redemption, not just for me, but for everyone who'd doubted themselves this season, everyone who'd wondered if we could come back from rock bottom. After the game, the front office called me into David Chen's office. They had the contract ready, 3 years guaranteed with a coaching position built in, security, respect, recognition. Marcus, David said, we made a mistake letting you go. We won't make that mistake again. You're the foundation of what we're building here. We want you to know that. I signed the contract without hesitation. Not because the money was good, though it was. Not because the security mattered, though it did. But because this was home. This was where I was supposed to be. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, now truly mine since Vanessa had taken her things months ago, and called my dad. I did it, I said. I'm staying. 3 more years guaranteed. I could hear the pride in his voice. I never doubted you, son. You just had to believe in yourself the way I've always believed in you. Dad, can I ask you something? Anything. Was it worth it? All of it? The pain, the rejection, the struggle to get back? He didn't hesitate. Marcus, anything worth having is worth fighting for. You fought for this, you earned this. Not just the contract, but the respect, the knowledge that you're essential. That's worth every bit of pain you went through. After we hung up, I pulled out my old playbook, the one Coach Williams had given me my rookie year. Worn, marked up with notes, filled with every play, every counter, every detail that had made me who I was. I flipped through it slowly, remembering every lesson, every late night in the film room, every moment when I doubted whether any of this mattered. It mattered. All of it mattered. Because some players score points. Some players make highlight reels. Some players win awards, but some players are the difference between chaos and organization, between talent and teamwork, between good and great. I was that player, and finally everyone knew it. The season was over. But my real work was just beginning. Next year, we wouldn't just compete. We'd contend. We'd build on this foundation and show the league what a team could do when everyone bought into the system, when everyone understood their role, when everyone committed to something bigger than themselves. And I would be there every step of the way, making sure we never forgot the lessons we'd learned. That being replaceable is a choice. That knowledge is power. That the players who don't show up on highlight reels often hold the whole thing together. I was the memory keeper, the system holder, the glue, and I was never letting go again. The offseason felt different this time. For the first time in my career, I didn't spend the summer worried about my future, wondering if I'd have a job come September. I had security, a real contract, a defined role. I was part of the plan. But security came with responsibility. The front office made it clear. Next season wasn't about moral victories. It was about the playoffs, about proving that what we'd built in the second half of last season was real. I spent June and July in Philadelphia, working with the young guys who stayed in town. Jamal Foster, our backup point guard, was hungry to improve. So was our rookie wing, Marcus Thornton, who'd barely played last season. They'd show up at the gym at 6 in the morning, and I'd be there waiting, ready to teach them plays, work on their decision-making, help them understand how to think the game. "Why do you do this?" Jamal asked me one morning after we'd finished a 2-hour session. He was drenched in sweat, bent over catching his breath. "Do what? Come here every day. Work with us. You've got your contract. You could be on a beach somewhere." I tossed him a water bottle. because basketball is what I know. And if I'm going to be a coach someday, I need to learn how to teach. You guys are helping me as much as I'm helping you. Man, you're different than most vets. Most guys just collect their checks and go through the motions. Yeah, well, I learned the hard way that nothing in this league is guaranteed. You can't ever take it for granted. Tom Daniels got the interim tag removed in late July. He was officially our head coach now, with a 3-year deal of his own. He called me into his office the day after it was announced. Marcus, I want to make something clear. You're not just a player on this team. You're part of my coaching staff. I want your input on everything. Rotations, plays, personnel decisions. You've earned that voice. I appreciate that, coach, but I don't want to step on anyone's toes. You won't. The other assistants respect you. They saw what you did last season. We're all on the same page here. We want to build something sustainable, something that lasts, and you're a big part of that. Training camp started in September with real expectations for the first time in years. The media picked us to finish 6th or 7th in the East, make the playoffs, maybe even win a series if things broke right. The pressure was different now. We weren't underdogs fighting for respect. We were a team expected to deliver. Our roster had changed slightly. We'd drafted a center in the 2nd round, a big kid from Gonzaga named Tyler Banks, and we'd signed a veteran three-point specialist named Ray Coleman, a journeyman who'd bounced around the league for 8 years but could really shoot. The first day of camp, I stood in front of the whole team during our morning meeting. Tom wanted me to explain our system to the new guys, to set the tone for the season. This team wins with discipline, I started. We're not the most athletic team in the league. We're not the most talented, but we can be the smartest. We can be the most prepared. We can be the team that executes better than anyone else. That's our identity. That's how we win. I walked them through our core principles: spacing, timing, reading defenses, making the right play, not the spectacular play. It was Coach Williams' philosophy, refined and adapted for our current roster. Tyler Banks, the rookie center, raised his hand. What if we mess up? What if we forget a play or make the wrong read? Then you learn from it. Nobody expects perfection, but we do expect effort and attention to detail. If you're thinking about the right things, even if you execute wrong, we can fix that. But if you're not thinking at all, just playing off instinct and athleticism, that's when we have problems. The first week of camp was rough. Ray Coleman struggled to learn all the plays. Tyler was overwhelmed by the complexity. Even some of our returning guys looked rusty, but gradually it started coming together. Muscle memory returned, communication improved, the system began to flow. Our first preseason game was against Washington. We won by 12. Nothing spectacular, but solid. Executed well, got good shots, defended with purpose. Tom was pleased but cautious. Don't get comfortable, he told us after the game. That's a preseason game against a team that doesn't care yet. The real test comes when we face teams that are trying to beat us. He was right. Our third preseason game, against Brooklyn, exposed our weaknesses. They were bigger, more athletic, more talented. They pressured us full court, trapped our ball handlers, forced us into uncomfortable decisions. We lost by 18. In the locker room afterward, the mood was dark. Guys were frustrated, questioning whether we were good enough. Tom let the silence hang for a moment before speaking. That's going to happen sometimes. We're going to face teams that are better than us on paper, teams that can overwhelm us with talent. But that doesn't mean we can't beat them. It just means we have to be smarter, more disciplined, more together. He turned to me. Marcus, what did you see? I stood up. They took away our initial actions, pressured us into making quick decisions before we could get organized. But we panicked. Instead of staying calm and working through our secondary options, we just threw the ball away or took bad shots. That's on us. We know the counters. We just have to trust them. Darius nodded. He's right. We got sped up, played at their pace instead of our pace. That can't happen. The regular season started in late October. Our opening game was at home against Atlanta. The arena was packed. The energy was electric. This was a fresh start. A chance to show that last season's turnaround was real. We won 98-91. I played 22 minutes, scored 8 points, had 6 assists, and didn't turn the ball over once. More importantly, we executed. When the game was close in the fourth quarter, we didn't panic. We ran our stuff, made the right plays, trusted each other. After the game, Tom pulled me aside. That's what I needed to see. We can win games by being who we are. We don't have to be perfect. We just have to be disciplined. We started the season 6-3. Good, but not great. We beat the teams we were supposed to beat, lost to the elite teams. The margins were always close, which meant we were competitive, but we weren't quite at that next level yet. Then came November 14th. We played Miami at home, the team that had given me a second chance when nobody else would, the team I'd left to come back here. Before the game, Eric Spoelstra found me during warm-ups. "Marcus, good to see you thriving. I told you this was where you belonged." "Appreciate everything you did for me, Coach." "Hey, we just gave you the opportunity. You did the rest. Now let's have a good game." Miami was the second seed in the East. They were really good, well-coached, deep, talented. Everyone expected them to blow us out. The game was physical from the start. They pressed us. We handled it. They ran their actions. We countered, back and forth. Neither team could get separation. In the third quarter, Jimmy Butler started hunting mismatches, trying to take over the game. Tom called timeout, pulled me aside. "I need you to guard him. I know he's bigger, stronger, but you're smarter. Make him work for everything." I looked at Tom like he was crazy. Jimmy Butler was an all-star. I was a role player, but Tom trusted me, so I trusted myself. I guarded Jimmy for the rest of the game. He scored on me, of course. He's too good not to. But I made every shot difficult, got in his space, denied him his favorite spots, made him settle for contested mid-range jumpers instead of getting to the rim. With 2 minutes left, we were down 4. Darius brought the ball up. Miami was in their base defense, trying to protect the lead. I saw it before it happened. Their weak side defender was cheating toward Darius, leaving Kevin open on the backside. "Fist 53 backdoor counter," I yelled from the weak side. Darius heard me. He ran the play. Mike set the screen at the elbow. Darius used it, drawing the defense. I cut backdoor, timing it perfectly. Darius hit me with a bounce pass. I laid it in. Down 2. Miami missed on their next possession. We got the rebound. Tom called timeout with 48 seconds left. In the huddle, everyone was looking at me. They wanted to know what I saw. "They're going to switch everything on ball screens," I said. "That means if we can get a big on Darius or Kevin, we attack immediately. They won't help off shooters this late. They'll make the matchup beat them." Tom nodded. "Horns set. Darius, you read the switch. If they go small on you, attack. If not, Kevin's going to fly off a back screen. Everyone else spaces and be ready." We ran it. Miami switched. Their center ended up on Darius. He attacked immediately, got into the paint, drew the defense. Big Mike rolled hard to the rim. Darius threw a perfect lob. Mike dunked it with 31 seconds left. Tied. Miami ran the clock down, looking for the last shot. Jimmy isolated on the wing. I was on him, not giving an inch. He tried to shoot over me with 5 seconds left. I got a hand up. The shot was short. Kevin grabbed the rebound as time expired. Overtime. We won in overtime, 108-104. I finished with 14 points, 8 assists, 3 steals, and had guarded one of the best players in the league in the biggest moments of the game. The arena erupted. Fans were chanting MVP at Darius, who'd had 32 points. But Darius found me as we walked off the court, grabbed my shoulder. "That was your game, brother. Your defense, your reads, your leadership. That's why you're here." In the locker room, Tom addressed the team. "That's the kind of game we can win when we trust each other, when we execute, when we believe in who we are. Miami is one of the best teams in this league, and we just beat them at home because we were more disciplined, more together, more prepared. Remember this feeling. This is what we're building toward." That win sparked something in us. We won 7 of our next 9 games, climbed to 5th in the East. The media started taking us seriously. National writers were talking about us as a potential playoff threat. The narrative had shifted from feel-good story to legitimate contender. But with success came scrutiny, and with scrutiny came old wounds reopening. In early December, we played Charlotte on the road. Their new head coach was Derek Hastings, the man who'd cut me, who'd told me I was replaceable, who'd torn down everything we'd built and walked away when it fell apart. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The media made a huge deal out of it. Every sports show talked about the storyline. Marcus Reid returning to face the coach who released him. Derek Hastings trying to prove his system works with a different roster. It was narrative gold for them. I tried to ignore it. Told reporters it was just another game, that I had no hard feelings, that I was focused on my team, not on the past. All lies. I was furious. The anger I thought I'd let go of came roaring back the moment I saw the schedule. This wasn't just another game. This was personal. This was about proving that he'd been wrong, that I'd never been replaceable, that his failure in Philadelphia was his fault, not mine. The night before the game, I couldn't sleep. Kept replaying that conversation in his office. You're not a fit for what we're trying to do here. Like I was a piece of furniture that didn't match his aesthetic. Like 6 years of dedication meant nothing. Darius knew something was off. He found me in the hotel gym at midnight, shooting free throws alone. "You good?" he asked. "Yeah, I'm fine." "Mark, don't lie to me. I know what tomorrow means to you." I caught the ball, held it. He threw me away, D, like I was nothing, and I just want to show him that he was wrong, that's all. Then show him. But don't let it consume you. Don't let it make you play out of character. The best revenge is being great at what you do. You've already proven him wrong by being here, by doing what you do, by being essential to a winning team. I know. I just need to hear it, you know? I need him to admit it, that he made a mistake. He's not going to admit it, brother. Guys like him never do. But you don't need his validation. You've got ours. You've got the city's. You've got your contract. You've got everything you need to know you were right, and he was wrong. The next night, I walked into the Spectrum Center trying to stay calm, trying to focus on basketball, trying to remember Darius's words. But the moment I saw Derek Hastings on the opposite bench, looking confident and comfortable, all that calm evaporated. Before the game, during warm-ups, he made his way over to our side of the court. For a moment, I thought he was coming to talk to me, to say something, to acknowledge what had happened. He walked right past me, didn't even look my way. Went straight to Tom, shook his hand, exchanged pleasantries. Professional courtesy between coaches. I didn't exist to him. The game was ugly. Charlotte played hard. They were young, athletic, hungry. They ran Hastings' system, the same freelance offense he'd tried to implement in Philly. And it was working better here because their roster fit it. Young guards who could create, versatile wings who could switch, a center who could shoot. We were down 12 at halftime. Tom was calm in the locker room, talking about adjustments, about staying disciplined, but I could barely hear him. All I could think about was Hastings' system working, his approach succeeding, everything that had failed in Philadelphia thriving here. Maybe he'd been right. Maybe I was the problem. Maybe I was just too rigid, too old school, too stuck in my ways to adapt to modern basketball. In the third quarter, I checked into the game. Charlotte was up 15. Their young point guard, a rookie named Chris Daniels, was cooking Jamal, attacking him every possession, making him look slow. Tom subbed me in for Jamal. "Slow the game down. Get us organized." I tried. I really did. But every time I touched the ball, I felt the pressure, felt the need to prove something. Instead of running our stuff, making the right play, I forced things, took bad shots, made risky passes, played like I had something to prove instead of playing like myself. With 4 minutes left in the third, I threw a careless pass trying to hit Darius in transition. Chris Daniels jumped the passing lane, stole it, took it the other way for a layup. Charlotte was up 20. Tom called timeout. As I came to the bench, he grabbed my arm. "Marcus, what are you doing?" "I'm trying to—" "You're trying to win this game by yourself. That's not who you are. That's not what we do. I need you to be you. Run the plays. Make the right decisions. Stop trying to prove something." He was right, but I couldn't help myself. Every possession felt like it mattered more than it actually did. Every mistake felt like validation of Hastings' decision to cut me. We lost by 17, our worst loss of the season. I finished with 4 points on 2 for 9 shooting and 3 turnovers. A disaster. After the game, reporters wanted to talk about the storyline, about me facing Hastings, about whether this proved anything about his decision to release me. I gave them nothing. Just a bad game. We didn't execute. That's on us. Give Charlotte credit. But inside, I was falling apart. On the bus ride to the airport, I sat alone in the back. Darius tried to come talk to me, but I waved him off. I didn't want to hear it. Didn't want the pep talk. Didn't want to be told that one game didn't define me, because maybe it did. Maybe tonight proved that I'd just gotten lucky, that the second half of last season was a fluke, that I really was replaceable. We flew back to Philadelphia in silence. I went straight home, didn't shower at the facility, didn't talk to anyone, just got in my car and drove to my empty apartment. I sat on my couch in the dark for hours, replaying every mistake, every bad shot, every turnover, every moment where I'd let my anger override my discipline. My phone buzzed, text from my dad. Saw the game. Want to talk? I called him. He answered immediately. What happened tonight? He asked. No judgment, just curiosity. I let him get in my head. I played angry instead of smart. I tried to prove something instead of just doing my job. Why do you think you did that? Because I needed him to see that he was wrong. I needed to beat him, not just as a team, but me personally. I needed to dominate that game so he'd know without a doubt that cutting me was a mistake. And how'd that work out? I laughed bitterly. I played the worst game of my season, probably made him feel like he was right to cut me. Marcus, let me tell you something. That man's opinion of you doesn't matter. It never did. What matters is what you know about yourself, what your teammates know, what your coaches know. You've already proven you're essential. You've already shown your value. One bad game doesn't change that. But what if it does? What if tonight proved that I'm only good when everything goes my way? When I'm in the perfect system with the perfect role? Then you're human. You're a player who thrives in structure and struggles when emotions override discipline. That's not a weakness, son. That's just who you are. The key is learning from it and not letting it happen again. We talked for another hour. He told me stories about his coaching career, about games he'd lost because he'd let personal grudges cloud his judgment, about players he'd failed because he'd been too caught up in proving something to the other coach. The best coaches and players are the ones who can separate their ego from the game, he said. Basketball doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care about your grudges. It only cares about execution. The sooner you remember that, the sooner you'll be back to being yourself. After we hung up, I pulled out my playbook, started reviewing plays, clearing my mind of everything except basketball. The pure game, the structure, the discipline. This was who I was, not a guy who dominated, not a guy who took over games with individual brilliance, but a guy who made everyone better by understanding the game better than anyone else. I'd forgotten that tonight. Let my anger turn me into someone I wasn't, but I wouldn't forget it again. The next morning, I was the first one at the practice facility. Tom was already there, watching film of last night's game. He saw me walk in, waved me into his office. You good? He asked. Yeah, I'm good. I let my emotions get the better of me last night. Won't happen again. Marcus, you're human. You're allowed to have a bad game. You're allowed to care about facing the guy who cut you. But you can't let it change who you are on the court. We need you to be steady, to be the brain. That's your value. I know, and I will be. I promise. He stood up, put his hand on my shoulder. Good, because we've got Brooklyn tomorrow, and they're really good. I'm going to need you at your best. That night against Brooklyn, I played 12 minutes, scored 2 points, had 7 assists, 0 turnovers, made every right play, called out every coverage, was exactly who I was supposed to be. We won by 6. I didn't dominate, didn't get my revenge on anyone, just did my job. And it felt better than any personal vendetta ever could. After the game, Darius found me in the locker room. That's my guy right there. Welcome back. I smiled. Never left, just got lost for a minute. We all do sometimes. The key is finding your way back. I thought about Derek Hastings, about the anger I'd carried for months, about the need for validation that had consumed me, and I realized something important. I didn't need his apology. Didn't need him to admit he was wrong. Didn't need anything from him at all, because I already had everything I needed. My team, my role, my value, my home. Some battles aren't worth fighting. Some grudges aren't worth holding. Some people aren't worth the mental energy. The only thing worth fighting for was being the best version of myself, the player my team needed me to be, the coach I was becoming, the person my father had raised me to be. Everything else was just noise, and I was done listening to it. January came with snow and a 7-game winning streak. We were 28-15, fourth in the Eastern Conference, and for the first time in years, Philadelphia believed. The city had fallen back in love with this team, not because we had superstars or played flashy basketball, but because we represented something real: hard work, discipline, teamwork, all the things people claim to value but rarely actually rewarded. We rewarded it every night. The All-Star break arrived in mid-February. Darius made the team as a reserve, his second All-Star appearance. He deserved it. 26 points and 8 assists per game, leading a winning team. But in his interview after the announcement, he said something that caught everyone off guard. "I wouldn't be here without Marcus Reid. People talk about my numbers, but Mark is the reason I get the shots I get. He organizes everything, knows every play, every counter, every adjustment before it needs to be made. He's the most valuable player on our team, and nobody outside our locker room understands that." The clip went viral. National media started talking about hidden value and glue guys and whether the league properly appreciated players like me. ESPN did a feature on my role with the team. They interviewed Tom, who said I was essentially an assistant coach who could also play. They interviewed opponents who admitted they prepared for me differently because I could call out their plays before they ran them. It was flattering, vindicating, but also uncomfortable. I'd spent my whole career being invisible, and now suddenly people wanted to talk about me. I didn't know how to handle that kind of attention. My dad called after the ESPN segment aired. "You see what you've become? You're changing how people think about basketball, showing them that value isn't just about scoring." "I'm just doing my job, Dad." "No, son. You're doing more than that. You're proving that intelligence matters as much as athleticism. That understanding the game is a skill just like shooting or dribbling. That's important. That's a legacy." Legacy. I'd never thought about basketball in those terms. I'd always just been trying to survive, to earn my next contract, to prove I belonged. But maybe it was bigger than that. Maybe I was showing young players a different path to success, a different way to be valuable. We came out of the All-Star break focused. 12 games left in the regular season. We were locked into a playoff spot, but our seeding mattered. 4th seed got home court in the first round. 3rd seed got a better path through the playoffs. Every game counted. Our first game back was against Boston at home. They were the 1 seed, the best team in the East. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, 2 of the best wings in the league. A deep roster. Championship aspirations. Everyone expected us to lose. Vegas had us as 8-point underdogs. National media called it a measuring stick game, a chance to see if we were actually contenders or just a nice story. Tom called me into his office the morning of the game. "I'm starting you tonight." I stared at him. "What?" "You heard me. You're starting. Jamal's been great, but Boston is too smart, too well coached. I need someone who can match their IQ. That's you." "Coach, I haven't started a game in 3 years." "So? You've earned it. More importantly, we need it. This isn't about stats or highlights. This is about going toe-to-toe with the best team in the East and showing them we belong. You give us the best chance to do that." I wanted to argue, wanted to tell him he was making a mistake. But deep down, I knew he was right. This was exactly the kind of game I was built for. That night, I walked out for the opening tip as a starter for the first time since my rookie year. The crowd gave me a standing ovation. I looked up at the stands, at the faces of people who'd watched me get cut and welcomed me back, who believed in what we were building, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time: pride. The game was a battle from the opening tip. Boston ran their actions crisp and precise. We countered with our own structure, back and forth, neither team giving an inch. I guarded Marcus Smart, their point guard, one of the smartest players in the league. He tried to run pick and rolls. I called out the coverages before his screener even set them. He tried to post me up. I fronted him, denied him his spots. He tried to shoot over me. I contested without fouling. We went into halftime tied at 52. In the locker room, Tom was animated, excited. "That's how you play against the best team in the league. You match their discipline with yours. You match their execution with yours. Second half, more of the same. No letdowns, no possessions off." Boston came out aggressive in the third quarter. They went on a 12-4 run, got up 8 points. The crowd got quiet. This was the moment where most teams fold, where talent and depth take over. Tom called timeout. In the huddle, he looked at me. "What do you see?" I closed my eyes, ran through their last 6 possessions in my head. They're running Spain pick and roll every time down. The back screener is releasing early, looking for the lob. If we can get our big to step up and take away the lob pass, we can force Smart to beat us off the dribble. He's not finishing well at the rim tonight. Make him a scorer, not a distributor. Tom nodded. "Big Mike, you hear that? Step up on the back screen. Take away the lob. Everyone else, no help defense. Let Smart try to score." We executed perfectly. Boston ran Spain pick and roll. Mike stepped up, took away the lob. Smart had to attack. He drove, but without the lob threat, he couldn't find good shots. We got 3 straight stops, turned them into transition baskets, cut the lead to 2. The fourth quarter was a war. Every possession felt like it lasted 5 minutes. Every shot felt crucial. With 4 minutes left, we were down 3. Boston had the ball. I was guarding Smart again. He had the ball at the top of the key, trying to run clock, looking for the right action. I was in his chest, hands active, voice loud. "Zero! Zero coverage!" I yelled to my teammates, calling out Boston's play before they ran it. "Pin down coming! Kevin, jump it!" Smart tried to pass to Brown on the pin down. Kevin jumped the pass, deflected it. Darius grabbed the loose ball, took it the other way. Layup, down 1. Boston missed on their next possession. We got the rebound. Tom called timeout with 2 minutes left. "This is it," he said in the huddle. "This is the game. We win this, we prove we're for real. Horns set. Marcus, you're going to get the ball on the short roll. Be a decision maker. Read the defense." We ran the play. I set a screen for Darius at the elbow. Boston switched. I rolled short. Darius hit me with a perfect pass at the free throw line. 3 defenders collapsed on me. Big Mike was open under the rim on one side. Kevin was open in the corner on the other. I made the pass to Mike. Easy dunk. Up 1. Boston pushed the ball. Tatum isolated on the wing. He was going to take the last shot. He was one of the best scorers in the league. There was no stopping him, only making it hard. He drove left. I rotated over to help. He spun back right. Darius recovered. Tatum rose up for a fadeaway 3. Darius got a hand up. The shot was off. Long. Mike grabbed the rebound. We'd beaten the best team in the East. The arena exploded. Fans rushed the court. My teammates mobbed me. Darius grabbed my head, screaming something I couldn't hear over the noise. Tom was jumping up and down on the sideline like he'd won a championship. In the locker room, the celebration was pure joy. Guys were spraying water bottles, dancing, screaming. Tom tried to calm everyone down, tried to give his post-game speech, but he gave up after 30 seconds and just joined the celebration. Darius found me sitting at my locker, taking it all in. "You know what you did tonight? We beat Boston." "No, man. You showed everyone what you are. Most valuable player on the floor. Not the best scorer, not the most athletic, but the most valuable. The guy who made the difference." I didn't know what to say to that, so I just nodded. Let the moment be what it was. We won 8 of our last 12 games, finished 44-38, the 4 seed in the East. Our first-round matchup was against Toronto, the 5 seed, a team we'd beaten twice during the regular season. The media said we had a real chance to win a series, maybe even 2. We were the trendy upset pick, the team everyone wanted to root for. Game 1 was at home. We won by 9. I played 31 minutes, scored 6 points, had 11 assists, and didn't turn the ball over once. Did exactly what I was supposed to do. Game 2 was different. Toronto adjusted. They pressed us full court, trapped our ball handlers, tried to speed us up. We lost by 4. The series was tied. Game 3 in Toronto was a disaster. They dominated us from the opening tip. We couldn't get organized, couldn't execute. Lost by 19, down 2-1 in the series. On the plane ride back to Philadelphia, the mood was somber. This was the moment that defined seasons. Either we responded and fought back, or we folded and went home. Tom walked to the back of the plane where I was sitting. "I need you to get us organized for Game 4. This team listens to you. They trust you. Whatever you need to do, do it." That night, I stayed up until 3 in the morning watching film, studying Toronto's adjustments, finding the counters, the weak spots in their pressure, the tendencies we could exploit. The next morning at practice, I called a players-only meeting. No coaches, Just us. Listen, I started. We're better than this. We know we are. Toronto is playing harder, playing more physical, but they're not doing anything we can't handle. We just have to stay calm, trust our preparation, trust each other. I walked them through the adjustments I'd seen in the film, showed them where Toronto was vulnerable, how we could break their pressure, what actions would get us good shots. Game 4. We set the tone, I continued. We show them that they can't bully us, that we're not intimidated, that we're here to win this series. Darius stood up. Mark's right. This is our season, our chance. We don't let it slip away because of one bad game. We fight back. One by one, guys started nodding, buying in, believing. Game 4 was the best basketball we'd played all season. We broke their pressure easily, executed every action perfectly, moved the ball, got great shots, led by as many as 23 points, won by 15, series tied 2-2. Game 5 in Toronto was a grind. Every possession was physical, every shot was contested, back and forth for 4 quarters. With 30 seconds left, we were down 2. Toronto had the ball. They ran clock, looking for the last shot. With 7 seconds left, their guard drove. Big Mike rotated over, drew the charge. Offensive foul. Our ball with 5.8 seconds left. Tom called timeout. In the huddle, everyone was looking at me again. They wanted to know what I saw, what play would work. They're going to switch everything, I said. They don't want Darius getting a clean look, but if we run a triple screen for Kevin coming off 3 consecutive screens, someone is going to get picked. Kevin will have a split second. Tom drew it up. That's the play. Kevin, you've got to be ready. We broke the huddle. Darius inbounded to me. I dribbled up. Toronto was in a 2-3 zone, trying to protect the rim. I passed to Darius at the top. 3 seconds left. Kevin ran off the triple screen. Mike, Jamal, and I set 3 consecutive screens. Kevin's defender got caught on the second screen. Kevin came open for a millisecond at the top of the key. Darius fired the pass. Kevin caught and shot in one motion. The ball was in the air as the buzzer sounded. Swish. We won. 3-2 lead in the series. Game 6 at home was our chance to close it out. The arena was packed. The energy was electric. This was what we'd worked for all season. A chance to advance in the playoffs. Toronto played desperate. They led most of the game. With 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, we were down 6. Tom called timeout. This is when champions are made, he said in the huddle. Not when it's easy, when it's hard, when you have to dig deep and find something extra. We've got 4 minutes to save our season. What do you got? I looked around the huddle, saw the exhaustion, the doubt, the fear of it all slipping away. We've got each other, I said. We've got the system. We've got everything we need. We just have to believe it. 1 possession at a time. Get stops. Execute on offense. 4 minutes. That's all we need. We got to stop. Scored. Down 4. Another stop. Another score. Down 2. Toronto called timeout with 90 seconds left. They came out in a delay game trying to run clock. With 40 seconds left, they shot. Missed. Mike grabbed the rebound, kicked it ahead to Darius. We pushed in transition. Darius attacked, got fouled going to the rim. 2 free throws with 36 seconds left. He made both. Tied game. Toronto brought the ball up slowly. They were going to take the last shot. With 8 seconds left, their guard drove. I rotated over, drew the contact. Offensive foul. Our ball with 6.4 seconds left. Tom called timeout. Final possession of the game. Season on the line. Same play as Game 5, I said before Tom could even speak. Triple screen for Kevin. They know it's coming, but they can't stop it if we execute. Tom looked at me, then nodded. Run it. We lined up. Darius inbounded to me. I dribbled up, passed to Darius at the wing. Kevin ran off the triple screen again. This time Toronto was ready. They switched perfectly. Kevin was covered, but I'd seen it happen. Seen that the switch left Big Mike open under the rim for a split second. Darius saw it too. He pump-faked, got Kevin's defender in the air, then hit Mike with a bounce pass. Mike went up strong, got fouled as he scored. The arena exploded. Mike made the free throw. Up 3 with 1.2 seconds left. We won. Advanced to the second round of the playoffs for the first time in 4 years. The celebration was everything I'd ever dreamed of. Players crying, coaches hugging, fans refusing to leave the arena. This was what it was all about: the work, the sacrifice, the belief that discipline and teamwork could overcome talent and athleticism. In the locker room, the owner came in to congratulate us. He shook everyone's hand, thanked us for bringing winning basketball back to Philadelphia. When he got to me, he stopped. "Marcus, I want you to know something. Cutting you was the biggest mistake this organization has made in my 15 years as owner. And bringing you back was the smartest thing we've ever done. You are the heart of this team. We're extending your contract this summer, 5 more years, whatever it takes to keep you here." I didn't know what to say, so I just shook his hand and said thank you. Our second-round opponent was Boston, the team we'd beaten in that measuring stick game. The 1 seed, the favorites to win the championship. Everyone said we had no chance, that our Cinderella story was about to end, that Boston was just too good, too deep, too talented. Maybe they were right, but we'd show up anyway. We'd compete, we'd execute, we'd be who we were. Game 1 in Boston was closer than anyone expected. We lost by 7, but we'd had a chance late, shown we could play with them. Game 2 was the same, lost by 5, down 0-2, but not discouraged. Back in Philadelphia for Game 3, we finally broke through. Won by 12, cut the series to 2-1. Game 4 was a war. Overtime, double overtime. We won by 2 points on a Darius floater with 4 seconds left. Series tied. The series went 7 games. Every game was close. Every possession mattered. Game 7 in Boston was the biggest game of my career. Winner went to the Eastern Conference Finals. Loser went home. We played the best basketball of our lives, executed every play, got every stop we needed. With 3 minutes left, we were up 5. Boston called timeout. In the huddle, Tom looked at me. "How do we close this?" "We run everything through me in the short roll. Make me the decision maker. They can't guard our actions when I'm distributing from 15 feet. I'll find the right play." For the final 3 minutes, every possession ran through me. I got the ball at the free throw line, read the defense, made the right pass. Darius got a layup, Kevin got a 3, Mike got a dunk. Boston couldn't stop us because they couldn't predict what we were going to do. We won 98-93, eliminated the 1 seed, advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals. The arena was silent. Boston fans couldn't believe what they'd just witnessed. A 4 seed, a team led by discipline and system rather than superstars, had just beaten their juggernaut. We didn't celebrate on their court, just shook hands, walked to the locker room with quiet confidence. We'd done something special, proven something important. On the plane ride home, Darius sat next to me. "You know what the difference was?" "What?" "You. Every big moment, every crucial possession, you knew exactly what to do. You made us better just by being on the court. That's not coaching. That's not system. That's just you. That's your gift." We lost in the conference finals to Miami in 6 games. They were just better, more talented, more experienced. But we'd shown the world what a well-coached, disciplined, connected team could accomplish. After the season ended, the front office made good on their promise. 5-year contract extension, real money, player development coordinator title, a path to full-time coaching when I was ready. But more than that, they gave me something I'd been searching for my whole career: validation, recognition, proof that I wasn't replaceable. That summer, I was invited to speak at a coaching clinic in Las Vegas. Hundreds of high school and college coaches in attendance. They wanted to hear about our system, about how we'd built a winner through discipline and execution. I stood at the podium looking out at all those faces and told them the truth. I'm not the most talented player, never was, but I made myself essential by understanding something important. Basketball isn't just about physical gifts. It's about mental gifts, too. Pattern recognition, decision-making, communication, leadership. Those things can be learned. They can be practiced. They can be mastered. I talked about Coach Williams, about the hours in the film room, about memorizing every play, every counter, every adjustment, about making myself so valuable that my team couldn't function without me. The goal isn't to be irreplaceable, I said. The goal is to be essential, to bring something to your team that makes them better in ways that aren't always obvious. That's how you build a career. That's how you build a legacy. After the clinic, a young coach approached me. He couldn't have been more than 25. Eager, hungry. "Coach Reid," he said, "I just wanted to thank you. I played college ball, wasn't good enough for the pros, thought my basketball career was over. But you showed me there's another way to stay in the game, to have an impact. I'm starting my first head coaching job this fall, and I'm going to build my program around the principles you talked about." I shook his hand. "Good luck. And remember, it's not about having the best players. It's about having the best team." That night, I called my dad, told him about the clinic, about the young coach, about how strange it felt to be someone other people looked up to. "You earned it, son," he said. "You took the hardest path, the one without shortcuts. And you showed everyone that intelligence and discipline matter as much as talent. That's a legacy worth having." A few weeks later, I was back in Philadelphia, working out with the young guys again. Jamal and Marcus Thornton, along with some of our draft picks, teaching them plays, showing them how to read defenses, helping them understand the game at a deeper level. This was my future: teaching, mentoring, passing on what I'd learned, making the next generation better. But for now, I still had basketball to play, still had a few more years as a player, still had moments where I could make a difference on the court. That evening, I went to the practice facility alone, walked onto the empty court, stood at center court, where Coach Williams used to quiz me, where Tom had welcomed me back, where I'd rebuilt my career and my sense of self-worth. I pulled out my phone, opened my voice memos app, and started recording. "My name is Marcus Reid. I was cut by my team because they said I was replaceable, because they didn't see my value, because they thought the game had moved past players like me." I paused, looking around the empty arena. They were wrong. I wasn't replaceable. I was essential. Not because I scored the most points or made the most highlight reels, but because I understood the game better than anyone else. Because I made everyone around me better. Because I brought something that couldn't be replaced by athleticism or talent. I stopped recording, saved the file, titled it Essential. Someday, when I retired, when my playing days were over, I'd listen to this. I'd remember this moment, this journey, this proof that value comes in many forms, that intelligence matters as much as athleticism, that being essential is better than being irreplaceable. I turned off the lights in the arena, walked to my car, drove home through the Philadelphia streets I'd come to love, past the fans who'd welcomed me back, through the city that had given me a second chance. Tomorrow, I'd be back in the gym, working, teaching, preparing, doing what I'd always done, making myself essential. Because that's who I was, not a superstar, not a household name, not someone who'd be in the Hall of Fame, just a player who understood the game, who made his team better, who proved that sometimes the most important players are the ones nobody notices until they're gone. And when they're gone, everything falls apart. I was the system, the memory, the structure, the glue. I was essential, and I always had been. They just needed to lose me to realize it.